Yeah.
For the next 5 years, do you want Jalen Hurts or Deshaun Watson? G. Bush, you could start.
See, they might always go with me, man.
Well,
you actually don't. You actually don't. You always go with them
I usually
first.
do, but I wanted specifically to go with you because I know where Bull is. I don't know where you are.
Oh, my God. Here's what I'm going to say. This was a tough one. Tougher than I actually thought. Because I would have to look at myself and say, okay, Jalen Hurts has already been to the top of the mountain. Okay, he's an MVP category. He's been to a Super Bowl. He's there. He's younger. Deshaun Watson on the other side of 30. But I will say this. I'm going to just piggyback on what everybody said. When we was talking about putting top 5 quarterbacks up there, what did we say? Well, he got to show it to me one more time. Britney Spears, hit me, baby, one more time. I need to see that.
That was a hot video.
It was a very hot video. Still hot. I watched it 2 weeks ago. Deshaun Watson.
You're sick, man.
Deshaun Watson. I have to lean on his work. His body of work is there. I can't let the recency of 6 games destroy his complete body of work. So, yes, them 6 games, they leave a nasty taste in my mouth. However, I got to take in consideration, if I looked at Jalen Hurts and Deshaun Watson before this year, if you would have said Deshaun Watson's name and Jalen Hurts' name in the same sentence, people would have punched you in the mouth.
Yes.
That's blasphemous. What are you talking about? I can't let those 6 games get me. I think Deshaun Watson is an exponentially better thrower than Jalen Hurts. I have to say, if Deshaun Watson had his receivers, what would he look like? They look pretty damn good. Mm-hmm. So I would have to go with, I know he's 5 years younger, but I got to go in Deshaun Watson's body of work and think that he can get back to a place where if he's where he was at, he's a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts because of what he can do throwing the football.
Well, you threw an if in there.
Yeah, that's the only
mean,
if I ain't seen it.
That's like me saying, well, if Deshaun's going to win a Super Bowl, I'm taking Deshaun. Like, so it's really, instead of projecting future performance.
Well, I think that's part of this. I mean, we'd say in the next 5 years.
Yeah, but what we've learned at this position is guys can wash out in a blink.
They can. So it's 2 ways.
Yeah.
Next year, Jalen Hurts can be washed smooth out of here because we know what that deal is. When they ain't gave you no money, and you trying to get that deal, and you trying to play for a deal. That's different. We see Baker. We see Lamar Jackson. When you trying to play it, when you doing a prove it year, I don't want no prove it years as a quarterback. I just want my money. Then I could play free. Now that might be a situation where Jalen Hurts can melt too. You're looking at Deshaun Watson. This is a prove it year too. So both of them are in the predicament.
Who you taking?
I'm gonna take Watson.
Okay.
Who you taking?
I'm gonna say, listen, it's not a debate for me. I'm taking Watson all day long. Right? I am. I like Jalen Hurts. I love Jalen Hurts. I love him like that, though. I like Watson's upside more than I like Jalen Hurts' upside. If you can get Watson back to where he wants to be, I'm going to roll the dice with Watson.
There's another if.
I think that, but I'm going with Watson regardless. I know if.
Okay, because you said if you can get him back to where he's.
If he gets back there, right, if we take the necessary steps, I'm taking him regardless.
Yeah.
But I need to do other things by aligning him with the proper quarterback coach and getting him prepared to play this season, right? Everything that I'm investing in is going into Watson. Why? Because I've laid $230 million on the table here, right? And my thinking is this is where I'm going. I don't need to be swayed by anybody else.
Jay, to me, if you asked me this question exactly 1 year ago today, as G just suggested, I would have said Deshaun Watson, and I would have laughed at you for asking me the question.
Right. Sure, it was a terrible question.
A year later, I would do the opposite. A year later, I would take Jalen Hurts and say it's no-brainer. Yeah. There's a lot of reasons why here, okay? And I was fully supportive of the Watson trade. I still remain fully supportive of the Watson trade. I have some concerns about his ability to mentally get over what he has brought upon himself.
Right.
This is easy. Go ahead, Boo.
And so that's it. But here's the thing. Now, does Jalen Hurts have more to prove? He absolutely does.
Yep.
Am I convinced that Jalen Hurts is a top 5 quarterback? I'm not convinced he's a top 5 quarterback until he does another year. But if I'm talking about making a guy, like when it was between Baker and Deshaun Watson, I was like, I got to take a chance on him sitting 2 years and what I consider bad character. I got to take that chance because I got Baker and I don't think Baker's any good. So I'm going to do that. But I just saw Jalen Hurts play at an extremely high level, a level that I honestly didn't think he was capable of playing at.
Yeah.
But now that I've seen it, and I don't want to hear about like this great talent around him. I understand he had great talent around him. There's been plenty of other quarterbacks in the history of the football that have had great talent around them and not played as well as Jalen Hurts played this year.
So the talent, you're taking the talent around him out of the equation.
I'm factoring it in.
Okay.
But I don't think that.
Because you say I don't want to hear about it, you're saying that doesn't matter.
I'm saying it matters, but how much it matters is being overblown by people.
I say Jalen Hurts has a ceiling cap on him, right? And I will remind everybody when it was the last play of the game. Did anybody see the last play of the game? When he needed to heave that ball down the field, and how short it went.
Yep.
And I was
got tipped.
In fairness to him too, he's still coming. He had a shoulder injury.
Okay.
Like
even
that he come
before,
back from.
even before that ball, he wasn't slinging.
Brad,
he wasn't here. He was not a gunslinger. He had a great season. He
he had a great Super Bowl.
But here's
he's
what
not
I
a
don't know.
gunslinger.
His numbers were better than Mahomes.
Deshaun Watson's had 3 great seasons in the league. I'm expecting him to have more, but I don't know for sure. And if I'm factoring in, I was told that I got to factor in everything, right?
Yeah, right.
Deshaun Watson's making way more money. Now, maybe they may sign Hurts to an extension, and that might change. But Watson's making way more money. He's 5 years older. And here's what I do, as far as I know. Deshaun Watson, not high character. Jalen Hurts, high character.
Yeah.
That factors in. If there's a huge gap in talent, then okay. And I do think Deshaun Watson, at his best, is better than Jalen Hurts. I'm not sure we're ever going to see that again. I think we will, but because I don't know, I would go with Hurts.
You're doing more like prognosticating.
I am still
where these guys use the word if he can come back.
Yeah.
Can you give me? I didn't want to do this, Jay. This is gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
Can we get Jalen Hurts numbers up there?
Season stats or Super Bowl stats?
Season. We want the season joints. Now,
Steve, that's 98.
Dude, this hurts.
Super Bowl, he was really good.
I thought he was I thought he was doing more than this.
Now, he did score 13 touchdowns on the ground.
Okay,
and that doesn't come in. And nor do his rushing yards.
Okay, right. So we got the rushing joints on there, but we do agree that you have to pass the ball to win. Like the rushing stats is on top. Now, just throwing the rock, his numbers are very comparable to somebody. Now, this person in 2018 had 3,700 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions as a rookie. He threw for 3,800 his second year, threw for 3,600 his second year. So in 2020 was 35, 63, 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. I mean, he got comparable numbers to Baker Mayfield.
That's why I say this position does not project out long term anymore. It just doesn't.
I mean, Baker did that. Baker did that his rookie year.
Wait. How many interceptions did Baker throw?
14 is rookie year.
14 is
Jalen Hurts threw 6.
And 2020.
Well, this isn't his rookie year.
This is rookie year.
Yeah.
Well,
Jalen Hurts interceptions through his 3 seasons. He had 4.
He's only got 19.
He's got 19 for his
career.
Yeah.
Baker was the worst outside of, I think, Jared Goff, has been per game. He's one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL in terms of turnovers. Jalen Hurts doesn't turn over the ball.
Look.
Jalen Hurts is an elite runner of the football.
That's
Baker
what
makes him useless.
I say
That's
that,
a huge
and I
difference.
say this. Listen, Jalen Hurts. I love to watch Jalen Hurts play. Right.
Yeah.
But have you noticed? Just tracking back, he always does well, but the team never seems to finish the job.
Jalen?
Yeah.
Well, they made it
What are
to
you
the
talking
Super
about? They
Bowl.
went to the Super Bowl.
Well,
No. Did they win?
And also,
They didn't lose because of the
quick.
offense.
Because of Jalen Hurts.
Hold on.
Wait,
I didn't
Brad,
say
real
that.
quick.
Hold on, Mike. I didn't say that. Oklahoma, same thing. Alabama, same thing. Right? Same thing.
He did drop the rock, and they did
Same
not
thing.
score.
Same thing.
Deshaun Watson has won 1 playoff game. Now, he was on a bad team, but he won 1 playoff game.
Well, here's the thing.
He blew a huge lead to Patrick Mahomes.
I'm with you, Bull.
Yeah.
And it wasn't hard for me. And I took everything into account because that was the exercise.
Yeah.
Number one, the talent around him is far superior than what the Browns have. It just is.
I don't think it's far superior in terms of skill
I
position.
think the Browns are stronger at running back.
Yes.
But because Jalen runs the ball so well, the Eagles had a better running attack than the Browns did this year.
Yeah.
Right.
And so,
But that's
I'm
not the
just gonna-
talent around him. That's his talent.
But, but Jalen weighs into that.
Yes.
Jalen's part of that.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for me that I looked at was this notion that we're ever going to see Deshaun Watson at the level we did is, at this point for me, a leap. It wasn't as big a leap as it was when we signed him, but then came the 11-game suspension, and then we saw what he was for 6 games. And at no point did I stand up and say, there it is. There it is.
Right.
That's DW4.
That's true.
And
I get it.
It wasn't 2 games. It also wasn't a full season.
Right.
It was 6 games.
Yeah.
And because I didn't see it for a third of the season, it's harder for me now to project that in the future. So that's number one. Number 2, because of the injury he suffered, an injury that has thrown guys like him right out of the league, it's in the back of my mind, as someone who's torn an ACL 3 times, that it's not going to be a mind blow if he does it again. It's just not. I think you would back that up.
Yeah,
So I got to put that in there.
So he's torn his ACL twice.
Right.
So for me, there's anybody who gets it twice, there's always something in the bottom of my stomach that says, I don't need you running around. I don't need you to be doing that.
Trouble is, though, we do.
We need the Jalen Hurts type running guy. So I will. Injury is part of it.
That
too.
scares me, and I've got to think about that. So I figured about that. I also thought about the money. That's a big deal. Now Jalen might get his extension. Quite frankly, I think if the Eagles sign him to an extension, it's a huge mistake because I'm not projecting either of these guys' long-term success at that position. I'm just not. I was asked to pick one or the other, and in that exercise, I would go with Jalen. But I just don't. I don't know that I'm going to bet $50 million a year on either one of them, and that's basically where we are.
And that's, you bring up a point of, this is why you look at the 2 different teams and you look at what receivers Jalen Hurts has. And you say, okay, if you got those caliber
and
receivers.
that's a major upgrade from what the Browns have. That's why I said
you can win at that level.
Offensive line. We've got a good offensive line. They've got a great offensive line.
They have 2 great receivers. The Browns have 1. I don't think Devontae Smith at this point.
Devontae Smith's going to end up being unbelievable
He's really
if he
good.
can stay healthy.
AJ Brown is really good. So is Amari Cooper. That's the biggest difference. Is they got 2 guys like that. We got 1.
That's twice.
So let me tell you this. This is messed up. If you tell me who do you want, Devontae Smith or what's his name?
Amari Cooper.
Amari Cooper. I'm taking Devontae Smith.
I am too.
I would.
I am too.
And I didn't even talk about A.J. Brown.
Right.
He's off the table.
Give me A.J. Brown over
A.J. Brown is better than both of them.
But the gap between Devontae Smith and Amari Cooper is
I know,
not a
but
big
you're
gap.
giving me 2
I
that
agree.
are better than I want.
But the Browns,
and they've got a tight end.
But Nick Chubb is way better than Miles Sanders, and I don't think their tight end is that
I
much
think
better.
he's comparable to. I think he's comparable to ours.
So what I'm saying is, if you're 31 and you don't know if you're gonna get back there, this is why I keep telling people.
Deshaun Watson's not 31.
How old is he?
Deshaun Watson's 27, and Jalen Hurts is 24, by the way.
Yeah,
That's
that
5 years
31?
No,
difference.
that's the total wins.
Yeah.
Which
The age
by the
difference is
way,
3, not 5.
can I point out something?
him.
Yeah, he's not
Watson.
31. He's 27 and Hurts
bad,
is
big
24.
homie. My bad.
But still, if you can put that stat up again.
Put that back up there.
I want to point one thing out that a friend of mine won't let me forget about.
Okay.
Can you call up the career comparisons?
It's coming. Give us 1 second.
A friend of mine who is, because he's not a Browns fan, he can see the forest through the trees. He's got the 30,000 feet view that we don't have.
Yeah.
When they signed the deal, I think he had 28 wins at the time. When they signed the deal, he said, you do realize you just gave the richest, longest term in terms of guaranteed dollars contract to a guy who has won the same number of games as Tom Brady has won in 2 seasons 4 different times. And that scared the hell out of me.
I don't think that stat is meaningful for me.
His point
he only
was,
played really 3 seasons.
his point was
First of all,
this. His point was this.
Yeah.
If I'm going to, that deal is a Mahomes deal. And that's what he said. He goes, that's the kind of deal Patrick Mahomes gets. Guaranteed. Like, he's proved it. He's done it. You guys are so desperate and so blind. He keeps calling, he says I'm Ray Charles. He says you guys are so desperate and so blind that the first pretty girl comes along, you want to get married.
You might
Yeah,
want
but yeah, that's been debated. The Browns had no choice. They had to get a top line quarterback. If Deshaun Watson doesn't play like a top line quarterback, it's a disaster. We know that. But we saw him play. I don't care what his win total was. He went to the playoffs 2 of his 3 years as a starter. All right,
and won how many games?
He won 1 playoff game.
Right.
We get it. I get it. But he played as a quarterback in Houston at a super elite level. He played as a top 5 quarterback.
And now we have that as his most recent body of work.
Yes. Now, if you guaranteed me that Deshaun Watson was going to play like he did in Houston, then it would go back to being a no-brainer. I would take Deshaun Watson. Well, but since we can't guarantee that,
go ahead.
There's no guarantees in life.
No guarantees in life.
It's all speculation. We're speculating on what he's going to be.
The worst thing I tell people to do is this, right? And although the two come together, never mirror the money with the performance, right? The money is a part of the negotiation of your skill set.
Deshaun Watson had leverage in that.
Don't use that as the judgment to if you can play dead or not, right? They're two different things, right? And people out here always are like this, Jay. Well, they equate the performance with the money. It doesn't go like that, right?
What?
The performance is the performance. It is. There have been many people.
Brad, they've got to be commensurate.
There have been many people in this business, any sports business, have elicited the money that couldn't play dead at a funeral, right?
Because that's the mistake.
Because of the last year. But then there have been many who have equated to, okay, here's my performance and here's the money, right? So the money is not the indicator. It is truly the performance.
Right. Yeah, Brad, you're right about that. But it's the performance that drives the money.
Sometimes.
In this case.
Sometimes, because sometimes you perform at a high level and they still won't pay your ass.
Here's what happens in the salary cap era.
Ask my man in Baltimore.
But here's the problem with this. If the performance isn't commensurate with the salary, you're doomed.
No, so if the performance
when it's that
no,
number.
because if the performance isn't commensurate with the salary, is when the daggers start coming. That's what happens.
Because it's so lethal.
Right, because it's the easiest route to kill you.
But Brad,
that's
it's
what
lethal.
It is.
It's the easiest route to kill you because it is deadly. But it's deadly.
But you also
you can't have a dead horse that costs $50 million a year.
But what you do need to have is your general manager needs to be worth his salt. Because if you got that dude making that much money, you can't miss on all these people.
That's my point.
You can't miss here, miss here, miss here.
Right.
Oh, that guy ain't no good. And you can't be afraid. These next deals that they're going to make, some of them is not going to be good for the long-term future of the Browns.
So we're playing the odds. The odds are that Watson at some point returns to Watson. That's the odds. That's the odds we're banking on.
And you're
right?
playing for 3 years.
I'm not willing to throw my hand in yet, right?
No, I'm not completely either. But that mission, what you just said, that's imperative. Because if that doesn't come true, this organization is doomed for 5 years.
Well, they're looking for
minimum.
You only right now. They ain't looking at 5. They 2 to 3. They better make moves only for 2 to 3 years. And as a Browns fan, you got to understand, some of these people going to be over 30. Some of them going to cost a lot of money. Yeah. Some of them might not even really fit what you're trying to do long term. But when you made that decision, you got to be all in.
Plus the Browns are going to have to make moves in terms of Watson's contract, in terms of Myles Garrett's contract, in terms of Amari Cooper. They're going to have to what's the word I'm looking for? Not renegotiate. Restructure those contracts that somewhere down the line
it requires
Andrew
Berry to be a shrewd businessman and understand
Which he
how to maneuver on the chessboard. I'll take you back to my basketball days. Red Auerbach of the Boston Celtics was a shrewd maneuver of the chessboard. When I was in college, my senior year, the summer before my senior year, the Celtics are projecting next year's draft. So they already have targeted the people that they want to see, that they think they're going to bring in here. So what Red does is in the summertime, he has a basketball camp in Boston for kids, Celtics camp, right? He's looking for camp counselors in the camp, right? In the camp, he brings to the Celtics camp for the summer, he calls 2 college kids and say, listen, you want to work the camp? Come on up here, we'll pay you $400.
Kids that he's thinking about drafting?
Right. Well, we did. The kids did not know that was the case yet, right?
$400 back then.
$400, right? Free flight to Boston.
Imagine?
And then we'd come up here to the Celtics.
You would get them for $400,000.
The kids go to the camp.
Yeah.
Right? Work the camp with the kids during the day. In the evening, they go to the 2 kids that they bring in and say, hey,
you guys want to scrimmage?
There's a scrimmage going on tonight. miraculously, all the Celtics are in town. Larry, Kevin, Parrish, DJ, Ainge. The kids are going to say.
Greg Kite?
All of them were there. They were they were like this.
What size shoe you wearing?
They were like, no, the kids had their own shoes because they had to participate in the camp, right? So, of course, the college kids are going to say, oh, I'd love to do that, right?
And now they get a free look at
And so you walked into the camp, and there is all the Celtics hierarchy sitting in the first row of the stands watching the greatest pickup game in the summertime.
Scouting their potential draft picks.
The kids did not know that to the end. But let me tell you who the two kids were.
Who's the kids?
You.
One was me. The other was Lynn Bias.
Oh, wow.
So Lynn Bias and I bunked together for a week.
And they ended up drafting them.
Right. And they had, because the Celtics had 2 picks. And they were like,
Y'all was playing one-on-one?
no, one-on-one. We took one-on-one against Bird and them.
They wanted to see.
They wanted to see you get some real competition.
trash
And
talking you in
listen,
this?
that's
No,
brilliant.
they were just playing hard.
That's brilliant, though.
It is.
That's brilliant.
But this how dumb we were. We were like, oh, great. Larry's here. We're going to play with Larry.
And then
Now, today, for a myriad of reasons, that game never happened.
because
Right.
you got an agent that says
Imagine you
crazy.
turn your ankle.
Imagine
you tear your
Hey, listen,
ACL.
here. And you didn't think about this. The other thing, what if you went up there and played like crap?
Right.
Right. Nobody was thinking like that, right? That's what I'm talking about being shrewd. That's what Andrew Berry has to be.
I would be-
because we have to figure out, we've got $230-some-odd million invested in this man, right? We've got to move another piece on the chessboard here. And you cannot sit up here and be like, well, I won't do that because I got these conditions.
I go knock on. I already know that money low. I be turning over people that you might not even think of. I'm looking at the roster. I'm like, look, we got Deshaun Watson, Amari Cooper. Hey man, hey Odell Beckham Jr., what you doing? You sat out a whole year. You ain't gonna cost that much. You gonna play with a quarterback?
I don't agree with that. I don't want to go down this road again.
I'm turning over leaves.
I'm gonna just show you. I'm gonna show you. Red Auerbach sitting in the front row with a cigar. Casey Jones next to him. Red's like this.
They fell for it. Yeah, they fell for it.
Hey, they gonna have to be looking for some people. They gotta look for. They gonna have to find some dudes off the street.
And there's going to be other guys cut and whatever. But the Browns do need to be very aggressive this offseason. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
Very aggressive, and they got to get it right. You're right. Andrew Berry, in the grand scheme of things, has done a mediocre job adding talent. Mediocre. We can't afford mediocre.
I'm
He
going to
needs
give
to be
him
better
a
than
little.
that.
I'm going to give him below mediocre.
All right,
I'm going to give him
fine.
a C minus.
Fine, I'll say mediocre.
There's a lot of
you may be lower.
There's a lot of question marks I still have about the guys he's brought in here.
He better hit a home run this offseason.
They gotta be aggressive because I was talking about this the other day on the radio. I don't think people understand how close we are to a reset. Like we are very.
Are you real close to a reset?
We are very because this conversation has already started permeating everybody else, right? You start off the season and you go 2-4. When you don't have first round draft picks or any draft capital or cap space, now you asking these people to be perfect. The first question you're gonna ask is, all right, we don't got no first round picks. Do you think we get 2 firsts for Myles Garrett? You think we get the first and the second for him? And because he hasn't mattered anyway.
I think Chubb's the one that they're.
I said it last week. If they don't turn Deshaun Watson, like right now, I know you're more down than the rest of us, Jay, but like I was 100% certain Deshaun Watson was going to be great. I'm not 100% anymore. Now, I still think with a full normal offseason for the first time in 2 years, that there's a good chance he's going to get back to being a good player, especially because he's young enough. But if I am wrong, and maybe it's, and I'll be honest, I think I said this a few weeks ago, I didn't really think about the mental hurdle he needed to get over, and I think that's a big part of what he went through. I hope he's going for therapy or counseling or whatever, because whether it's his fault or not doesn't matter in terms of football. He has a mental hurdle. He needs his edge and his cockiness. That was gone. He needs it back. And if he's anywhere close to the player we saw last year, the Browns are completely finished. They're done. They're screwed for the next bunch of years. It's over. Trade everybody.
I say this like G.
That's why
the Browns are close to a fire sale if this thing doesn't shake right.
That's right.
Because you're going to end up being Brooklyn here at the end and be like, everybody out of here. Everybody out of here.
No, I know. And the worst part about that is because G said you're making moves for 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
And I agree. I mean, you've got what you think is the center pole. Now you've got to get the parsley. And here's the problem with that, because they have limited draft capital.
Right.
You've got to make big moves to do that.
Yeah.
If they don't hit, you're looking at 2-15 and start completely over.
On the other hand, we're very.
I know.
Hey, we're very doom and gloom for the last 10 minutes. On the other hand, if Deshaun Watson does get back to being the quarterback we saw, and the Browns are extremely aggressive this offseason,
You got a playoff team.
There's no reason they can't make a deep run in the postseason.
There's none.
Here.
There's none.
Now, here's what scares me, because you're right. So when I start letting myself think optimistically, I ask myself this. Okay, playoffs. Now,
Playoffs.
you got a Cincinnati and Kansas City team that aren't going away.
And Buffalo.
And Buffalo.
Hell no.
And those are hurdles you have to get over
That's
before
right.
you get to the promised land.
That's right.
It is a daunting task.
It is a daunting task because most likely, even if the Browns have a really good season, Deshaun's playing well, they win 11 games and make the playoffs, you're still going to have to most likely beat two of those three teams, which will not be easy.
Especially
but you know
with
what?
Kansas City sitting there because they've done it.
That's why you need names. Don't give me no, like the draft is placebo. I just want to let everybody know the draft is not going to help you do nothing. Just imagine as if you get people, they don't play. A defensive tackle in the draft is not doing nothing against Mahomes. Sorry. He may not even play full
rookie
time.
D tackle rarely makes
Rookie
an impact.
D tackles don't make, rookie D ends don't do anything. So now you say, okay, well, we could get a receiver. You might get a receiver that break out, but if you look to beat teams like that, that's why when people mention DeAndre Hopkins' names, he might not be what you need, but you need people, you need names, guys that have done it at that level, because Patrick Mahomes, you know what they bring.
Man, give me a dude that is looking for a contract, can't find a deal, feel like got some gas left in the tank. Give me a couple of those, right?
But here's the thing, guys.
Because they're hungry guys that are going to come to work every day. They're not going to sit out injured. They're not, because in order for them to eat the following year, they have to produce.
Give me some dogs.
Give me some of them.
The great players make players around them better, though. The great quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes doesn't have obviously Kelsey's a great player. The rest of his skill position players are all just guys. They're all just guys.
But they got the best.
But he made them better.
He got one of the best coaches.
I get it. I
mean, they got some stuff.
I agree. Fine. But the elite of the elite, which Deshaun Watson was, and if he is again, he's going to make guys better.
How was it feeling when you was playing back in the 80s and you was playing for the Bulls, and when you was going to Boston Garden, you knew you needed some dogs with you. When you was going into the Palace of Auburn Hills, you knew what type of time it was. Mm-hmm. It wasn't let me find out if Schwartz or Bell can do something. You need bona fide dogs to go up in there.
Because you were going up against bona fide dogs, right? Right. And listen, the puppies wasn't going to cut it. They just wasn't.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't a time to be learning up in here.
I got no problem with the Browns trading some more draft picks to get proven veteran players.
I agree.
But don't get ones that are over the hill.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the reason I'm really leery about that is because you're digging your hole deeper if.
I think you have no choice right now.
Because if you look, let's just say, God forbid, there's an injury, or his first 6 games next year look like his last 6 games last year. If we get to that point, where do you look to rebuild? The draft. And if you look at your inventory and you're like, holy crap, we don't have much left. We put it all in this bag. Then you're looking at, I don't want to go back to 1-15.
I know, Jay, but I think you have to go all in.
It's like if you're a young kid, right, and you got a little pension built up for 10 years, and then you're going to go buy your house with your wife, and they say, well, look, your down payment is $25,000. You got some money somewhere? He'd be like, well, I got a little $30,000 over in my pension.
Yeah.
And you don't want to dig.
You're robbing Peter to pay Paul.
I'm like, I want this house, but I'm already here now. Like, so I'm going to dig a grave to put the 30 in there too? Yeah. And I ain't got no savings?
But,
come on,
unless you buy a pig of a house that falls down, you've got equity.
At least you can get equity, right?
The problem with this is if he goes down, you got no equity.
No,
You're still paying that money because you told him we're going to guarantee every penny of it.